Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is another installment of the Monday Mortgage Minute. This one's going to be 3, 4 minutes long, but bear with me. So last week we talked a little bit about how tax and insurance information can be different from our estimates and how that can affect your pre-qualification and also affect your monthly mortgage payment. So this week I want to go into a little bit more detail about closing costs and how much money you've actually got to have to purchase a house, okay? Because there's some preconceived notions about that I think are erroneous. So let's start, all right? We'll make a couple of different assumptions here. So the first one being, we'll just say that the house in question is going to be a $200,000 house, okay? So typical down payment, and this isn't guaranteed, but it is standard, okay, would be a 3.5% down payment for FHA and a 5% down payment for conventional financing. So on $200,000, that's $7,000 for FHA, $10,000 for conventional, okay? Which leaves you with a 193 loan amount for FHA and a 190 loan amount for conventional, all right? So you're thinking to yourself, oh man, that's great, right? All I have to have somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000. But that's not necessarily true. There are transactional costs associated with purchasing real estate every single time, right? You can't get away from them. There's nothing you can do. It doesn't matter whether it's a refinance or a purchase. There are closing costs associated with every transaction, okay? So first one that I want to mention is the origination charge, okay? Now that can show up in the form of an admin fee, underwriting and processing fee, anything of the sort, okay? And basically those are charges that are from directly from your lender, all right? So normally that is it's a percentage function, right? So standard origination charges would be somewhere around 1% of the loan amount, okay? So let's just assume that that those origination charges are going to be based on the 193 loan amount, okay? So zero point zero 0.01 times 193, and we've got a $1,930 origination charge. Now, for us, for our company, currently the way that our fee structure works is that it's actually a flat fee. It's less money than this, but in this case, for simplicity, we'll just say that it's 1%, okay? Because that's usually what it is across the board. Some people will even have separate line item charges for underwriting and processing, but that's not always the case. But 1% is fair, at least for this example. Okay, so $1,930 for origination charges. There's going to need to be an appraisal. That typically ranges somewhere between $500 and $600. Could be less, could be a little bit more, depending on where the property is located, whether or not it's in a non-standard fee county, and a variety of other things. But let's just say that it's $550 for this example. Now, title policy. That's going to be a state regulated fee for the title insurance premiums. Now that's a kind of, well, I wouldn't say it's an easy function to remember, but it is based on the loan amount. Okay, so in this case, it's going to be there is a function for that. So let me do this real quick. 875 plus 0.00554 times. We'll just base it on the FHA. The FHA amount. Okay, so that'd be a little over $1,390 for the title policy. A survey is going to be required as well for any purchase transaction. Typical survey fee is a little over $400. Now, if there's an existing survey out there, then we don't most likely need to reinvent the wheel. However, if there isn't one, then somebody's got to pay for it, right? Whether that's you, the buyer, or the seller, okay? Now, there's also going to be most likely escrows for taxes and insurance. So we collect a couple of month reserve for property taxes and insurance, okay? So let's just say that taxes and insurance are 3% annually based on the price divided by 12. So that'd be $500 a month. We would escrow for a couple of months, so you got $1,000 in escrows for that. Other inspection fees, home inspection prior to purchasing. It's not necessarily something that we require, but we certainly encourage it. I won't go into that too much. Prepaids, that would be for your full year of homeowners insurance, and then also potentially prepaid interest depending on the time of the month that you close your loan. So let's just say that we'll just for simplicity we won't worry about prepaid interest. We'll just look at insurance. Okay, so let's do 0.5% annually, just for estimation purposes. Okay, times the 200,000, and you're left with $1,000 insurance policy. Okay. Point is that these fees can add up pretty quick, right? And so we're looking at roughly $6,300 right there. That doesn't include, credit report fees and just some kind of nickel and dime fees throughout the process. Okay, so you've got $6,300 in addition to the $7,000 down payment that we listed before. So that's over 13 grand, okay, to buy a $200,000 house. So it's just those additional closing costs are items to be aware of, okay? Whenever you're thinking about your budget and how much do you really need to have, because you don't want to be house poor, right? You don't want to buy a house and then have no money in the bank once you're done. Now, these closing costs can sometimes be rolled into the sales price, into the contract. That's something that you would want to discuss with your realtor at length. I'm happy to go into it more. I might even do that next week. So it's not something to, to lose your head over. There are ways to work this potentially, assuming that the property appraises, and it's just something that it just depends on what makes sense for you and your family, right? So if you're a little bit short on cash, but you can afford the monthly payment, then there are ways to potentially roll that into the contract. If you've got plenty of money and want to have the lowest possible monthly payment, then paying for those upfront at closing might be the best course of action. But anyway, that's a little brief breakdown of real estate closing costs for a purchase or a refinance transaction. Thanks so much, guys. See you next week.